Namaskar, good evening viewers. You're watching the news on Sansad TV, your one-stop destination for all the latest updates from India and across the world. I am Bhawna Nayar. Let's begin with the headlines first. Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar briefs all-party meeting on Sri Lanka, describes island nation's economic crisis as a serious and unprecedented situation. Opposition disrupts proceeding in both houses of parliament. Lok Sabha Speaker expresses displeasure over protest. Weapons of mass destruction bill moved in Rajya Sabha. Margaret Alva, the opposition's vice presidential candidate, files nomination. Voting to take place on 6th of August. India and Africa can lead development in the world. Commerce Minister addresses CII Exim Bank conclave in Delhi. Delegation also meets Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu. Three leaders, including Acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in the fray for Sri Lanka's presidential election on Wednesday. Security intensified around Parliament complex. After the headlines, let's lunge onto some more important news. Government asserts booster dose needed as protection against COVID is declining, calls for pushing immunization in a mission mode. Agriculture and Farmer Welfare Minister Narendra Singh Tomar charges opposition with playing politics over issues of farmers and the common man. Fertilizer stock for Kharif season sufficient, assures Minister of State for Chemical and Fertilizer Bhagwant Khuba, asserts stocks not affected by Russia-Ukraine conflict. Radicalization by terrorist groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, one of the most challenging problems faced by all the countries, says Union Minister Nityanand Roy in written reply in Lok Sabha. Government doesn't interfere in functioning of the press, says INB Minister Anurag Thakur, asserts that it is erroneous to put India among last 30 countries on press freedom. Over 1.63 lakh Indians renounced citizenship in 2021. Union Home Minister data shows over 85,000 gave up citizenship in 2020. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei tells visiting Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan that any offensive by Ankara in northern Syria will be detrimental to region. 3 people, including an 18-month-old baby, is killed in a shooting in the city of Billings in the United States of Montana. This place is just outside the Glacier National Park. Former Supreme Court Judge Vineet Saran takes over as BCCI's ethics officer and ombudsman, fills dual post lying vacant for a year. 2022 Asian Games postponed due to COVID-19 in China will now take place in Hangzhou from September 23rd to October 8th, 2023. And now news in detail. Rajya Sabha was adjourned due to protests by opposition members on various issues. Amid protests, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar introduced the Weapons of Mass Massacre and the Delivery System Prohibition of Unlawful Activities Amendment Bill 2022. The Deputy Chairperson repeatedly requested members to return to their places and allow the bill to be discussed. Eventually, the House was adjourned for the day amid disruptions.
Weapons of mass destruction and the delivery systems prohibition of unlawful activities amendment bill 2022 as passed by the Lok Sabha is taken into consideration.
Opposition parties, including the Congress, staged protests in the Lok Sabha on issues like inflation, GST, unemployment, due to which the proceedings were disrupted. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla called for question hour when the proceedings of the House started, but opposition members started raising slogans. Amid noisy scenes, members asked questions and ministers concerned gave answers. The Lok Sabha Speaker appealed to opposition members to allow the House to function. He adjourned the House first till 2 p.m. and when the protest didn't stop after the House convened at 2 p.m., it was adjourned for the day.
सभा की कार्यवाही बुधवार दिनांक 20 जुलाई 2022 को प्रातः 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जा रही है।
Moving on, joint opposition candidate for the vice presidential election, Margaret Alva, filed her nomination papers on Tuesday. Several opposition leaders, including Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi, Mallikarjun Kharge, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, NCP's Sharad Pawar, Shiv Sena's Sanjay Raut, DMK's Tiruchi Siva, CPIM's Sitaram Yechuri were present during her nomination filing. 80-year-old Alva is facing NDA candidate Jagdeep Dhankar, who filed his nomination on Monday. The vice presidential poll will be held on August 6 to elect the successor to M. Venkaiah Naidu, whose term ends on August 10th. And now talking about the worsening situation in Sri Lanka, the situation is unprecedented and India is worried about it, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar told in an all-party meeting in New Delhi on Tuesday. However, he dismissed suggestions about such a situation arising in India, saying that drawing comparisons is uninformed. The meeting was attended by Parliamentary Affairs Minister Pralhad Joshi, Congress leaders P. Chidambaram and Manikam Tagore, NCP's Sharad Pawar and T.R. Balu and M.M. Abdullah of the DMK, among others. He said that the serious economic crisis pertains to a very close neighbour and India is naturally worried about the consequences and the spillover.
The meeting was called because we wanted all the leaders, all the parties in the country to appreciate that there is a very serious crisis in Sri Lanka, that the situation there is unprecedented in terms of what we are seeing, the financial and social and political consequences of that.
You were listening to S. Jaishankar, who was speaking on Sri Lanka's situation. Moving on, India looks at African countries as partners in progress, Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said on Tuesday. Speaking at the Confederation of Indian Industry Exim Bank Conclave on India-Africa Growth Partnership in Delhi, he emphasized that India and Africa can lead global growth. He asserted that India-Africa partnership will play an important role over the next 25 years to fulfill the aspirations of India and Africa. Goyal stated that both can work together to bring cost-effective solutions in areas like drinking water, logistics, healthcare, education, fintech, and solar power.
I think together we can solve several global issues, and I'm sure the engagement that CII and Exim Bank have put together along with all the African nations will certainly play a very critical role in our shared future and prosperity for the people of Africa and India.
And now let's take a look at the monsoon mayhem in the country. In Gujarat, the rainfall is gaining momentum once again after 2 days of respite. The weather department has warned of heavy rain in Aravalli, Mahisagar and Sabarkantha and Dahod. Waterlogging in Ahmedabad and Vadodara brought traffic to a standstill in many places. The Met Department has warned of heavy rain for the next 5 days. The state has received 58.32% of the season's rainfall so far. Drought-hit Kutch has already received over 100% rainfall. Heavy rains also hit Surat, where the Ukai Dam started to overflow, forcing authorities to open its 13 gates. And now talking about Maharashtra, 3 districts are experiencing a flood-like situation. Districts of Ratnagiri, Gadchiroli and Wardha are heavily impacted. Many villages have been submerged. About 105 people have died in rain-related incidents since June 1st. In Madhya Pradesh, now Shipra is overflowing due to heavy rains in Malwa-Nimar region. A bridge connecting the Karthik Mela ground to many temples of Ramghat was submerged in water. In Rajasthan, Bungra of Banswara district recorded the highest rainfall of 230 millimeters in the last 24 hours. Heavy to very heavy rains have been recorded in Banswara, Chittorgarh, Jhalawar, Bundi, Dungarpur, Sirohi, Kota and Rajasmand district. In Kota, Udaipur and Ajmer, a very heavy rain alert has been sounded for the next 24 hours. And news from across the nation now. Legendary athlete P.T. Usha, who was recently nominated to the Rajya Sabha, met BJP President J.P. Nadda in New Delhi on Tuesday. Nadda congratulated Usha and wished her the very best. Over 200 crore 33 lakh vaccine doses have been administered so far under nationwide vaccination drive, the Health Ministry said on Tuesday. Over 15,000 new cases were recorded in the last 24 hours, while 25 people died. The recovery rate is currently at 98.47%. A school bus was washed away in floods near Purna Giri Road in Champawer districts of Uttarakhand. No casualties were reported as the bus was nearly empty at the time of accident. Only driver and conductor were in the bus who have been safely rescued. Ballot boxes with the votes from the presidential election have been started arriving in Delhi from states and union territories. Counting of votes will be held on July 21st in the Parliament House complex. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu met African leaders from Gambia, Mauritius, Zambia and Namibia at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi. The Vice President said India-Africa relations are based on shared history, cultural values and strong people-to-people ties. Recalling his recent visit to Africa, he called for further strengthening Indo-Africa relationship in a mutually beneficial manner. The Supreme Court has directed the transfer of PILs challenging the centre's Agnipath scheme for recruitment to the armed forces to the Delhi High Court. Army Chief General Manoj Pandey, who is visiting Bangladesh, met Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in Dhaka. He also visited the Bangladesh Institute of Peace, Support and Operation Training. The AIA-DMK announced the removal of former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister O. Paneerselvam as party's deputy leader in the state's Legislative Assembly. Former Minister R.B. Uday Kumar was unanimously appointed as the deputy leader of the party in the state Legislative Assembly. 39 trains have been cancelled and 58 others have been diverted due to the derailment of a goods train in Gujarat's Dahod, and the route remained blocked for over 30 hours. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the demise of renowned playback singer Bhupinder Singh. Bhupinder Singh passed away on Monday due to COVID-19 related complications at a Mumbai hospital. Moving on, 12 Shiv Sena members including MP Shrikant Shinde met Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla seeking to change the leader of their party in the lower house. The leader of the Shiv Sena in the Lok Sabha, Vinayak Raut, had submitted a letter to the Speaker a day earlier requesting him not to accept any memorandum from the opposition camp.
अभी ये 12 सांसद जो है उन्होंने भी हमारी बाला साहब ठाकरे जी के जो विचार वाली जो भूमिका है उसे स्वीकार किया है, उसको समर्थन दिया है, ताकि वो जानते हैं कि महाराष्ट्र में जो विधायक लोगों ने जो भूमिका ली हुई है वो लोगों के हित की है और राज्य के विकास की है. इसलिए मैं ये 12 सांसद जो है उनको भी धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूँ.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah held a review meeting of the Central Police Training Institutes at the Parliament Library building. Several officials of the ministry, including Union Minister of State for Home Nityanand Rai, were present at the meeting. And now news from the world of business and economy. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the 5% GST was imposed on items including flour after the approval of all states, including non-BJP states. Her statement comes amid criticism against a tax on daily use products like milk, curd and flour. Sitharaman said that the non-BJP ruled states of Punjab, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Kerala had all agreed to levy the tax at the GST Council meet. The government on Tuesday set up a committee to ensure effective and transparent minimum support price. The panel will be headed by former Secretary Agriculture Sanjay Agarwal. Members include representatives of farmers, agri-scientists, economists as well as bureaucrats. The committee will also recommend measures to promote organic farming, crop diversification and micro-irrigation schemes. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman told the Rajya Sabha that the government has taken corrective actions to regulate price rise from time to time. She said several steps like cut in import duties, maintenance of buffer stock for onion and pulses, reduction in price of edible oils, among others, had been undertaken to ease the burden on consumers. And now talking about Sensex, benchmark BSE Sensex gained 246 points while the NSE Nifty gained a marginal 62 points as real estate, banking and manufacturing sectors recorded rapid advances. Energy stocks remain low. American, Chinese and European markets were trending in the green with gains up to 1%. Markets in Hong Kong, Taiwan and South Korea, however, were timid with losses of up to 1%. Slipping into a short break here, but on the other side, lives of millions of people in Britain disrupted by extreme heat waves. All this and much more after the short break. You stay tuned to Sansad TV.
Parliament in session. Day's legislative business. Debates and discussions. Catch the high points, all the updates on House Highlights. Monday to Friday at 10 p.m.
The glorious journey of India's 75 years of independence, protection of rights, ensuring equality, to empower, to deliver justice. Laws that have defined India and its people, laws that everyone should know. Watch 75 years, laws that shaped India. With me, Hemant Batra, only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news and time now for all the big developments from the Russia-Ukraine war front. European Union foreign ministers have agreed on additional funding of 500 million euros to supply arms to Ukraine. This will take the bloc's security support to 2.5 billion euros since Russian offensive began in Ukraine on 24th February. This is EU's fifth tranche of military assistance to Ukraine. Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Washington, D.C. on Monday. She is also slated to meet with her U.S. counterpart Jill Biden during her first visit. Blinken has assured Zelenska of the United States' commitment to Ukraine. Russian forces shelled the southern district of Nikopol and its neighboring district of Kryvyi Rih in the Dnipropetrovsk region all through Monday night. Regional officials said that up to 40 rockets were fired at Nikopol that destroyed two industrial enterprises. The explosions caused fire in several private houses and power lines were damaged in the city. UK's Defence Ministry has said that Russia has struggled to sustain effective offensive combat power since the start of its invasion of Ukraine. It added that the problem is likely becoming increasingly acute. The intelligence update said that the Russian planners face a dilemma between deploying reserves to the Donbass or defending against Ukrainian counterattacks in the southwestern Kherson sector. And now a story of hope and inspiration. Sifting through the rubble and bombed-out buildings from the ruins of Mariupol, a Ukrainian vet is on a mission to save as many as abandoned pets as possible. Thousands of pets are thought to still remain in Mariupol after owners were forced to abandon them or were killed in the conflict and never came home. Please take a look.
The streets are empty, homes destroyed. Long after people have fled or been killed in the city of Mariupol, many four-legged residents remain frightened and hungry. One brave vet, Yevgenia Mikhailova, is putting herself in danger every day to help them. Owner of a cat shelter called Koshkin Dom Donetsk, she searches through bombed-out buildings looking for cats, feeding them, coaxing them out from basements with food. Her aim is to reunite them with their owners or try to find new ones. Some of the cats were locked in apartments as people left in the hope of returning within a few days, but they never did. The animals are exhausted and some are so frightened they refuse to venture out of the buildings despite their hunger. Those cats that are bold enough to come out are caught and taken to the nearest border town in Russia, Rostov-on-Don. Mikhailova then crosses the border carrying the cats to new owners or one of the 12 cat shelters that have agreed to take them in. Border guards are usually cooperative and process the necessary documents quickly. 125 cats have been returned to their owners, even to people who live in different countries now. But for the animals with no owners, getting them into a caring home is a challenge. More than 600 animals have been rescued and taken to shelters so far, but Mikhailova estimates that at least 3,000 pets remain in the bombed-out buildings. They run the risk of being buried under the rubble of buildings, which are said to be totally demolished in September. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And continuing with some other global updates now. The aviation industry is showing signs of recovery. Indications of this came as Delta signed an order for 100 new Boeing jetliners. The deal was announced at Farnborough International Air Show that kicked off as one of the hottest days on record for the UK. Watch these spectacular aviation giants.
At the Farnborough International Air Show, aviation giant Boeing is showing off its latest aircraft, the 777X. Built the world's largest and most efficient twin-engine jet, it is still in the test stages. But it is Boeing's other aircraft which is grabbing the headlines. Airline Delta has signed a deal to buy 100 of the 737 MAX 10s. It's a vote of confidence for the line of aircraft after the 737 MAX 8 and 9 was grounded worldwide after 2 fatal air crashes.
In general, our outlook in 2020 was that the market was going to return to pre-COVID levels sometime between 2023 and 2024, which we still believe to be the case. But the acceleration in 2022 has been fantastic, and it's because of that pent-up demand and the essential nature of air travel in terms of conducting business, connecting people, and connecting goods and services.
The MAX 10 is still in testing phase with around 2,000 sensors placed across the aircraft to monitor its performance. It still has to be approved by the US authorities to fly, but deliveries to Delta are expected to start in 2025. Experts say that customer demand and a need to fly more fuel-efficient aircraft are behind the order. As the world tries to cut carbon emissions, the 777X is promising 10% less fuel use and emissions. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And now talking about environment. Climate change effects are seen all over the world. Britain these days is facing extreme hot weather. Lives of millions of people in Britain are being disrupted by the extreme heat, which has already caused problems in Europe. On Tuesday, the country announced its first ever extreme heat warning. More details in this report.
The hot, dry weather that scorched mainland Europe for past week has moved north, disrupting travel, healthcare and schools in UK. Hot weather has gripped southern Europe since last week, triggering wildfires in Spain, Portugal and France. Almost 600 heat-related deaths have been reported in Spain and Portugal, where temperatures reached 47 degrees centigrade last week. Studies show that temperatures in UK could reach 40 degrees centigrade, that is now 10 times higher than in the pre-industrial era. Officials in southern France's Gironde region announced plans to evacuate an additional 3,500 people from towns threatened by the raging flames. More than 1,500 firefighters and water-bombing planes are trying to douse the flames in the region tinder-dry pine forest. A red heat alert covering a big chunk of England is due to last through Tuesday, when temperatures may reach 40 degrees Celsius for the first time. The highest temperature ever recorded in Britain is 38.7 degrees centigrade, a record that was set in 2019. Britain isn't at all prepared to handle such heat. Most homes, schools and small businesses don't have air conditioning. At least 4 people were reported to have drowned across UK in rivers, lakes and reservoirs while trying to cool off. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And more news from across the world in Global Wrap. France and United Arab Emirates on Tuesday signed an agreement on energy cooperation. The agreement ensures supply of oil and natural gas, while Europe prepares for a potential total gas cutoff from Russia. France says the agreement will allow it to address the challenges of energy security in the short term while preparing for a decarbonized future. The European Union is starting the long process of making Albania and North Macedonia part of the bloc. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen confirmed that both nations opened accession negotiations. Despite the EU stalling their candidature for 19 years, both Balkan nations preserved in their ambition to be the members. East Timor will be the youngest Asian country to join the Association of Southeast Asian Nations next year. In a joint press conference with Indonesia's President Joko Widodo, East Timor's President Ramos Horta said that his government has fulfilled all requirements to be the newest member of the bloc. East Timor expects Indonesia's support to accelerate its acceptance as the 11th member of the grouping. Many new leaders are set to join the presidential race in Sri Lanka. Acting President and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is one of them. Sajid Premadasa, the leader of Sri Lanka's main opposition party, withdrew his candidacy. He is supporting another contender, Dallas Aleperuma, who was nominated by a breakaway faction of the ruling coalition. Rishi Sunak topped another round of voting on Tuesday in the UK leadership contest. The British Indian former Chancellor received 118 votes in the fourth round of voting by his party colleagues, just shy of the 120 mark, or one-third of Conservative Party MPs needed to confirm his place as one of the final contenders in the race to replace Boris Johnson. And now let us see what's happening in the world of sports. Harshada Garud won the women's 45kg gold at the Asian Youth and Junior Weightlifting Championship in Tashkent. The 18-year-old claimed the yellow medal with an aggregate of 157 kilograms. Pakistan were 222 for 3, chasing a target of 342 at the end of day 4 of the first test against Sri Lanka being played at Galle. Opener Abdullah Shafiq was batting on 112. Captain Babar Azam made 55. Venezuela's Yulima Rojas captured her third straight World Athletics title, winning the women's triple jump final with a leap of 15.47 meters at Eugene. Rojas won by a margin of 58 centimeters, stamping his authority. Avinash Sable finished 11th in the final of the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase at the World Athletics Championships. Morocco's Soufiane Al-Bakali won gold in the event. Anish Bhanwala and Rhythm Sangwan won bronze in the 25 rapid-fire pistol mixed team event at the ISSF Shooting World Cup in Changwon today. The Indian duo emerged victorious 16-12 over the Czech rivals. And that's a wrap for today's bulletin. Thank you for watching. Good night. Namaskar.